Yep.
We are all MAGA now.
Mr. Reagan.
Donald Trump has been found guilty on 34 charges in a fake show trial designed to derail his presidential campaign. This is one of, if not the most egregious act of blatant corruption that we have ever seen in America. I thought the stealing of the 2020 election was the low point. Until then, I didn't think that American politicians were willing to be that corrupt. Bribery, extortion, insider trading, and even selling influence to foreign actors. I understood that Democrats were willing to do all of those things. But to outright steal a presidential election, I had always believed that that was beyond the pale. So 2020 really put things in perspective for me. However, imprisoning the candidate for the Republican side and the former president of the United States of America, that is crossing a line. That's going way too far. I genuinely believe that this is worse than the stolen election. And the reason I thought that they would never do these things, it has nothing to do with their morality. Rather, it has everything to do with optics. This is so obviously corrupt that I think it might have even scared some staunch Democrats. If you have a rational cell in your brain, you have to look at what happened with this case, and you have to stop for a moment, and you have to reflect on your own politics. You have to ask yourself, is this the America I really want to live in? Is this the direction in which I want the country to go? Do I want to live in a banana republic? Do I want to live in an oligarchic dictatorship? Do I want to live in a country where one side imprisons the other side so that they can win elections? Now, as soon as this verdict was read, X, formerly Twitter, was flooded with posts saying that the Democrats have just ensured a Trump victory. The general consensus is that the corrupt Democrats have now unified the right behind Donald Trump, and they have lit a fire in all of us. They have enraged not only the MAGA Republicans, not only conservatives, but anyone who even leans right. And they have even angered independents who care about fairness and justice and the future of the country. And so the question is, are those posting about this on X insisting that the Democrats have just ensured a Trump victory, are these people right? Well, I would unequivocally say yes, because I watched in real time people tweeting out their support for Donald Trump, people who explicitly stated that until this verdict, they did not like Donald Trump. They had never voted for Donald Trump before, and they were not planning on voting for Donald Trump this year. But now everything has changed. I'm going to read you these wonderful tweets in one moment. First, of course, I have to tell you something. You guys know as well as any in America. However, I think that this verdict has provided us with enough support that we can beat the cheat, and that has always been the goal. Most of us on the right who support Donald Trump and who follow these things closely and investigate these things, we all believe that the Democrats tried to cheat in 2016, but they didn't cheat enough. They then succeeded in cheating in 2020, and we have no doubt that they will cheat again this year in 2024. But there has always been, among the more optimistic of us, a belief that if we can just get enough votes, then it will be too difficult for them to rig the election. Now, I still believe that this is true. However, there is one potential way that Democrats could cheat so big that Trump will lose. Not only would Trump lose in this scenario, but we would also lose the House, and the Democrats would actually gain so many seats in the Senate that they would probably have a supermajority. The Democrats can take it all and have almost unlimited power in America by next year if they put into action this plan that I now suspect they are willing to execute. Now, I'll explain my speculation about this at the end of the video. First, I want to read you these very optimistic and uplifting tweets. All right, this one's from Jasmine Keith. She writes, "Fine. I guess I'm MAGA now." Nick Freitas writes, "Well, Democrats, congratulations. I didn't start out as a Trump fan. I supported Rand Paul in the primary in 2016. I was skeptical of whether or not Trump would do what he said. Even after supporting him in 2020, I was frustrated by some of his policies. But now, I will enthusiastically campaign, donate, and vote for Trump because if nothing else, he represents opposition to you, the people who engage in lawfare. Openly target your political rivals for prosecution while ignoring the real issues facing the country. You have now showed us the rules of the game. Don't be surprised when we start playing by them." And this is actually a common theme. A lot of people on Twitter, a lot of political pundits are saying that once Trump gets into office, gloves are off. If you guys want to use the court system to go after political enemies, don't be surprised when we use the court system to go after you who are actually corrupt. Heidi Briones writes, "Yeah, F it. Trump 2024. Angie G writes, "This independent is now voting for Trump. I've never voted for him before either. What a disgusting trial. Senator Eric Brackey writes, I was undecided, but today's events have convinced me. I am voting for Trump. Tony Saruga writes, holy crap, I have had dozens of calls, over 30 voicemails, hundreds of text messages, and so far 7 calls from Democrats from my Silicon Valley days that are saying that they are voting for Trump. One just donated $50,000. A concerned parent wrote, I hate both candidates, but now I feel like I have to vote for Trump. I'm certain I'm not the only one who feels this way. I am Leia wrote, I had no intention of voting for Trump until y'all started this shit. Someone named Michael wrote, I'm a registered Democrat from New York. Have never donated to a political campaign before. I've just donated to Team Trump because our justice system is rotten to the core. I suggest you do the same to save our democracy. And finally, Storm Robinson writes, I was planning to vote for a third party, but I think I'll vote for Donald Trump now, just to spite the Democrats. And he also wrote, just below that, I just ordered a MAGA hat. Fantastic, fantastic, just unbelievable. And this is just a very small sampling. There are hundreds, maybe thousands of these tweets. I mean, you'd have to look, but it's just incredible. So many people in the middle, even on the left, are going, whoa, 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 whoa. What are we doing here, guys?
Are we the baddies?
Yes, Democrats, you are the baddies. And listen, of course there's going to be a lot of holdouts. There's going to be a lot of people that will never change parties, that will never vote for Trump, that would never even think of not being a hardcore Democrat. There's people that want to see the world burn. There's people that just can't bring themselves to believe that they've been wrong all these years. And there are people that they're just gullible. They're just going to always stay gullible. They'll always be low information voters, and they're just never going to change. But I do think enough people are going to change that we can beat the cheat. However, I did say that at the end of this video, I would explain my speculation about the Democrat plan to steal 2024, which they could potentially do, and there would be nothing that we could do to stop them. So what is this? Well, they could get caught. That is, they could execute a plan to cheat that completely disregards their normal safeguards against getting caught. They would just cheat openly. They would cheat obviously. They would do it in a way that if anybody had the power to arrest them and try them for their crimes, they would certainly be convicted and go to prison. Now, 2 questions arise from this. 1, why would they have to expose their corruption? And 2, why would they ever be willing to do that? Well, the reason that they would have to potentially expose their corruption is that I believe that cheating in a presidential election nationwide is actually very hard, very difficult. A lot of people think that cheating makes winning elections very easy. No, it makes winning elections possible. Right? In 2020, if the Democrats understood exactly the degree that they had to cheat before the vote took place, they may have been able to get away with it without any evidence at all indicating that they had cheated. Now, we have not been able to develop a comprehensive smoking gun body of evidence to prove that the 2020 election was stolen, but we do see little indications here and there. There is evidence. But the reason we don't have that comprehensive smoking gun body of evidence, this is because they not only took great pains to rig the election, in my view, they also took great pains to cover up their election rigging. The cover-up massively increases the difficulty of cheating, and I do believe that there is a point at which a political party can no longer effectively rig an election. That is, if the margin of victory between Donald Trump and Biden is too big, if Donald Trump wins by enough votes, it'll be so difficult for the Democrats to cheat the election that they will not be able to do it surreptitiously. The only way they could rig the election in this case would be to do so openly. They would have to be willing to get caught. Now, for the second question, why would they be willing to do that? Well, most of us who do my job and similar jobs, we are entirely convinced that many people in politics, if not most people in politics, are compromised. Somebody has some dirt on them somewhere. Now, this is not just a problem because we have a lot of puppets in Washington, D.C. It's also a problem because these people live in perpetual fear that somebody will expose their corruption and they will go to prison. And this is, I have always believed, why the corrupt operators in Washington, D.C. have always been so scared of Donald Trump. This is why they have always been so desperate to keep him out of office, because I suspect that they believe that if Donald Trump is in office for another 4 years, he will have access to information that would expose the corruption of many of these degenerates in Washington. And if Trump were to expose these people, they could go to prison for the rest of their lives. This prospect is terrifying. But if they are willing to cheat and they're willing to be exposed as cheaters, as election fixers, it will not actually matter after the politicians take their oaths of office and take power. They will have so much control over our country that it will not matter if the country perceives them as corrupt or not. Up until this point, the Democrats have been scared of being exposed as crooks. But if this show trial, this kangaroo court, has shown us anything, it's that Democrats have gone past the point of caring. They are so desperate to hold on to power that they are now willing to be openly corrupt. And if that's true, then it may also be true that they are willing to openly rig the next election. However, this comes with great risk, because if one political party openly rigs an election and steals power in America, there will be war. There will be a new revolution. Americans will take their country back by force. Members of the military, they will not obey orders to fire on American civilians by Democrat politicians. They will turn their guns 180 degrees, and they will point them directly at those rigging the election. This would be true under a corrupt Republican administration, and it would be true under a corrupt Democrat administration. This has nothing to do with political sides. This has everything to do with fair and honest elections versus open corruption. Because as comfortable and sedentary as Americans have become, we still have the pioneer spirit. We still have the spirit of the soldiers in the Revolutionary War. Americans will not stand for open corruption. And if Americans rise up against the openly corrupt regime in Washington, D.C., it will not be like the January 6th protest. The Democrats will no longer be able to define an armed insurrection as a bunch of Trump-supporting grandparents scrolling through the Capitol taking selfies. Because the truth is, the Democrats are the real insurrectionists. And as I said, Americans will not tolerate this. But you know, I do hold out hope. My hope is that the Democrats are scared of this. My hope is that those who are in power in Washington, D.C., and to be honest, I can't actually tell you the names of those people, but my hope is that these people recognize the damage a war in America would do, and they are unwilling to go that far. Now, I mentioned in a previous video that if there is war, there is always some risk that those in power will pay for their crimes. And this tends to happen in every revolution. So if these people are too selfish to care about the country, they may be just selfish enough to care about their own lives. And so that is my speculation. And that is my hope. And so we have to vote in 2024. We have to become active participants in campaigning for Donald Trump, because we are currently standing at a crossroads in America. If we elect Donald Trump, we have a chance of going down the right road. We have a chance to cut out enough of the corruption in Washington, D.C. that America will live on. But if Joe Biden wins, those who currently hold power in Washington, D.C., they will never relinquish it. And so we have to go vote. We have to campaign. And when the election finally arrives, we have to pray that these people do not cross that Rubicon and openly steal an election. And look, I think that there is a chance that this will all turn out all right. And this guilty verdict on 34 counts of nonsense, this may have been the tipping point. This may have been the moment that saved America. This may have been the moment that Democrats went too far. It is a dark day for America, but I do think that there is a light at the end of this tunnel. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. And remember, it's not that liberal friends are ignorant. It's just they know so much that is not so. Good night.
Yep.